Thank you. I'm Andrew Field. I'm the Broadband Programme Director in Broadband Delivery UK. We're part of the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. And I'm here in place of Chris Townsend, who's the Chief Executive of Broadband Delivery UK, who's unfortunately off work at the moment, recovering from an operation.
Okay, we wish him well.
Thank you.
Right, Professor Barry Ford.
Right, I'm Barry Ford. I'm the Chief Executive of Broadband for the Rural North. It's a community not-for-profit project operating in the northwest of England, which is running FTTH out to lots of properties in our neck of the woods.
Thank you. Kim?
Hi, I'm Kim Mears. I'm the Managing Director for Infrastructure Delivery for Openreach. I'm accountable for rolling fibre out across the UK, including BDUK, so the Rural Fibre Programme.
Right, thank you. David?
I'm David Broom, Head of Business Development for WiSpire, small wireless internet service provider based in Norfolk.
Right, well, welcome. So this first part, again, it's all too slow. It's all far too slow. But Paul's been desperate to get in, so come on, Paul. Come on.
Thank you, Neil. It's a question really for Andrew and Kim, I suspect. What are you doing to guarantee the provision of broadband at functioning and reliable speeds to the 5% of premises not covered by the UK Government's 2017 Superfast broadband target? Start with yourself, Kim, please.
So I have no guarantee for the final 5% today. I think that there is certainly discussions with government in respect of a universal service obligation, a universal broadband commit. There is a view that that will be 10 meg. That is still being discussed in government. We need to make a decision and agree across industry how that will be delivered. If we're going to do it by December 2020, which is certainly the government ambition, we need to make the decision now, pretty fast, so we can get on and make it happen.
And Andrew?
As I said earlier, firstly, we have further delivery continuing beyond the end of this year. We've got the gain share funding coming back, as we've discussed previously. There are efficiency savings from the current contracts as they come to completion. If the contracted funding is not all fully spent, that is available for further reinvestment. We believe there will be at least £150 million of funding available as a result of that, in addition to the gain share funding. In addition, the local authorities and the devolved administrations are also finding further funding themselves, which they're putting forward for further procurements. So take all those together. As I said earlier, we believe another 600,000 premises can be covered by 2020 with superfast broadband through continuation of the existing programme and some further commercial rollout by a range of commercial providers. Beyond that, there is the proposal for the universal service obligation, as Kim has said, and communities can undertake their own initiatives, either the initiatives such as BARN, which is really a do-it-yourself approach, or by co-funding with a supplier such as BT through the Community Fibre Partnership Scheme.
In what way does that represent a guarantee that you're going to deliver to the remaining 5%?
It is what I've said. I mean, the universal service obligation is the final part of that jigsaw, so any premises which are not covered through any of the other routes, if they have speeds below whatever threshold is set, which is the ambition at the start, that will be 10.
My question is, in what way does that represent a guarantee to the remaining 5%?
What it is a commitment that there will be further delivery beyond the 95%,
So
and there will be the universal service obligation will be in place for all premises which have speeds below the 10 megabit per second.
It's by magic. You'll decree that those 5% you're going to have it. You know, how are you going to deliver it? And how long? I mean, this is the trouble. You see, these businesses sit here year in, year out, waiting for somebody to deliver broadband. We as a taxpayer, be it government or local authority, put millions, billions of pounds in and we still don't get it.
Well, we understand the pressure and the demand. Lots of premises have already got it and more premises are getting it. We're putting in a lot of money.
I don't want that. We're talking about the ones that haven't got it, not about the ones that have got it. How are you going to deliver it?
Can I just reinforce my question as well?
Yeah.
We're asking you, what are you going to do to guarantee deliver to the remaining 5%? You're talking about a universal service obligation. Neither of you have talked about the use of modern technologies to deliver to hard-to-reach areas. It strikes me that, frankly, you don't know what you're talking about. The remaining 5% will be bitterly upset to listen to the two of you today. What are you going to do to deliver to the people that don't have broadband?
New technology will be part of the solution for those 5%.
What new technology? Be specific.
Well, Kim has talked about one technology, long-range VDSL. Wireless will be another one.
That's yesterday's technology.
But this is not a technology debate.
Of course it is.
No, this is an
the question is, how are you going to do it?
There is no magic technology.
It's not a technology debate, it's an economic debate.
It's a technology debate, it's a social debate, it's an economic debate. You're not delivering. Your customer service is 50% of our mailbag. You've heard that already today. We want to know today what you're going to do to get this service delivered out to people that don't have it. You're holding back rural economies. It's as simple as that.
So that's why we're here. We're doing everything we can to deliver to the 95% this year. We believe we will get to another 600,000, which will add a further 2% by reinvesting the funding as I've described. Beyond that, the universal service obligation will be in place for those premises with speeds below the threshold, which is at the moment expected to be set at 10 megabits.
But you can't tell us how you're going to deliver that service to the remaining population.
So if we take, as Andrew's described, that if you look at the fibre rollout programme, it will go close to probably by December 20, 96, 97%, something like that. We have been very clear in talking to government that if there was a universal service obligation of 10 meg, that we would absolutely lean forward, subject to the right regulatory framework around certainty. We have that now. And obviously it is an economic debate at how we would recover those costs. We need to firm up those decisions, and then as an industry though, because it could be long-range VDSL, it could be fibre to the cabinet, it could be fibre to the prem.
It'll be neither of those things. It will be neither of those things in some areas.
Explain, I mean, Paul's constituency, it's massive, isn't it?
I'll explain it.
Yeah.
You're never going to deliver broadband to some areas digging holes in the ground. It just isn't going to happen. Neither of you have got a suitable or plausible answer to the question that I've asked. You're not going to be delivering to the remaining 5%. You've got no guarantees, you've got no solutions, you can't identify the technology that you're going to use.
I think it will be a mix of all of those things.
All of what
including,
things?
So it will be, if you look at the final 5%, and certainly the final, it's not just a rural debate, some of it is inner cities, on long lines, so it's not, the final 5% is not just a pure rural issue. It will be a mix of those technologies that I've described.
Numbers of people in the rural constituency is without broadband.
Absolutely.
I agree, and it will be a mixture of wireless, satellite, fibre.
I agree with you now. Why wait until now before you start developing these technologies and these processes to deliver to the 5%?
Many of these technologies and processes are out there today in respect of wireless and satellite. Certainly if you look at some of the community schemes, are already talking, and certainly Andrew will know, to wireless and satellite providers. What I'm saying is that when you get to that final 5, it will be a mix of all of those technologies that will play in.
Can I move on, Neil? I thought that these answers are absolutely incredible. I want to ask Barry and David, when do you think the remaining 5% will receive a service, and what technology is likely to be used?
I don't think it's going to come from BT, to be quite honest. BT is too wedded to sweating its copper assets.
I think we've just heard all about that, to be honest with you. I think it is going to have to come from fibre. If we look at the rest of the world, fibre is where everybody thinks we're going. I think it's very sad that the UK only has 2% fibre to the premises penetration. We don't even appear on the European charts. So we really need to do something about that. I think we're focusing on technology, but I think what we need to focus on is
a different method of delivering. I mean, Barn is a community type project. People who live in rural communities, in our experience, recognise that our problems about living in rural areas. You know, they don't have gas, they don't have main sewage, they don't have transport. They are willing to step up to the plate and put time and effort and money in to resolve that. What we actually need is central government support that allows communities and alternative network providers who want to focus on relatively small areas to step in and do the job properly now, put the fibre in so we don't have this problem again in 10 years. But all that's happening at the moment is whatever funding comes up, gain share, everything else, just seems to be focused towards BT. It seems to be very, very difficult for community projects to access funding and alternative providers. So I think we need to recalibrate who is going to do the delivery. It's not just going to be BT, and we need ways that those third parties can access funding.
I'll come to you in a second, David, but what needs to change in either the policy environment or the regulated environment to make sure that actually happens?
Well, I think there's two things. I mean, one is attitudinal, in the sense of local and central government is risk averse. So dealing with smaller groups always has a higher risk profile, and therefore people tend to sort of adopt strategy to try and take the risk out. By the time you've taken all the risk out, you've taken the project out as well. So I think this willingness to sort of accept a bit more flexibility in how they do things is challenge number one. Challenge number two is there are regulatory things like street works, highways, and again, I mean, that is in the government's remit, because our experience has been things like highway departments. In the rural areas, you're going to have to cross roads. I mean, we go cross country, but you still have to cross roads. It would be nice to see local government departments actually supporting local initiatives rather than regarding somebody trying to put fibre in as a risk to the highways and things. So we need collaboration between the different parts of government, so DCLG, DCMS, the different ones, to sort of look at how the different silos of local and central government can work together to make things happen. Okay. But I think it's perfectly doable. I don't think there's any reason why we can't do the last 5%. Indeed. We just have to do it differently.
Indeed, yeah. David?
I would agree with much of what Barry has just said. I think what needs to change is that, as well as talking the talk about the final 5%, we need to walk the walk and actually get together and really make a commitment to deliver to the 5%. We recognise, as Kim has said, it's going to be a number of different technologies. Wireless is part of that. We're predominantly a wireless supplier. The technology in wireless is there to deliver speeds of 100 meg plus. Our model is looking at delivering fibre to a point in a local community, maybe the local church, which is one that we've been particularly successful with, and then actually taking the fibre from there wirelessly to premises nearby as in our a cost-effective model to deliver to the final 5%. But what I think we need to see is some evidence of some tangible, practical assistance, funding or engagement, and a concerted industry effort to say, as well as saying it's going to be this, it's going to be that, somebody's actually going to pick up the baton and deliver it.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thank you. Question 18, I've got to read.